Hello and welcome. Today I thought I would do the pineapple tag, which Morgan, with the little word weaver, tagged me to. It was a while ago and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it now because I really wanted to do it, and I think she made up a brilliant tag. You do have to excuse me though, because the pineapple tag is about Psych, the TV show Psych. I've seen 3 episodes of Psych, which Morgan showed me, and I've never seen anything more. Not because I didn't like it, but because I didn't, Oopsie. I'm doing a tag because I love Morgan and I love the tag, and I have no idea what the characters are, but let's start. Shawn Spencer, a character you would hate to meet in real life but you love on page, and for me that is Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. When I was about 15-16, the age when everyone who reads Catcher in the Rye are, I wanted to hug him and tell him that everything would be alright if he just stopped being such a douche. In real life, if I met him, 1, I'm terrified of teenagers, so I would run the other way. 2, that's 3, I wouldn't have the patience. Nah, wouldn't be able to, so I would probably just leave him alone and ignore him and talk shit about him to all my friends. I do love Holden Caulfield as a character, and I think he's really, really good and he's splendid, and the journey we, get to know him through is both heartbreaking and so it's emotional. And as a teenager, I recognised myself in him, maybe because I was probably a bit of a douche as well. Gus, your favourite supporting character. I'm not even going to try to say anyone else than Sam Gamgee from The Lord of the Rings. He is my favourite supporting character, he's my favourite everything, and I love him. He's such a sweetheart, and he's such a helping hand, and he's such a good friend to Frodo and the other hobbits, and I just love him, and he's the perfect hobbit. Juliet O'Hara. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but I'm sorry. Your favourite strong female character? I have several. And I have them from different stages of my life. As a kid, I absolutely adored Matilda from the Roald Dahl book. I just loved the idea that you could outsmart everyone by reading, and she was witty, and she did pranks, and she was just such a sweetheart, and I loved her. And I didn't recognise myself in her as such because I didn't have terrible parents and I didn't have a splendid teacher or anything like that. And a horrible teacher. I did not mean, yeah, you know, yeah. And as a teenager, I went towards, and again, another smart character, Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter books. When I grew up, she was the proof that you didn't have to be just a pretty dumb girl to have fun. Basically, she was smart and she used that smartness, and she didn't let anyone bitch her about. She's a strong character, and she's also a really soft character, and she basically does whatever she likes, and I love that. And as an adult, I gravitated more towards Margaret Cavendish, who also wrote the book she's featuring in The Blazing New World, which she writes herself into. This is a book about a woman who is being pulled into a different universe, a parallel universe, and she becomes the Empress. And she learns about science, and she learns a new species about science, and it's basically the first science fiction novel, and it's it's a Renaissance book, and it's amazing. You should definitely read it, The Blazing New World by Margaret Cavendish. I just realised that I haven't been holding up any books thus far. Oh, you'll live. Lassiter? A book or character you started out hating but ended up loving. And I wouldn't go as far as saying hating, but this is quite topical now, isn't it? John Green with Paper Towns. I didn't really like that when I first read it. I felt it went a bit slow, and I love Walt Whitman. He's my main, but in the end I got into it, I got into the drive, and I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it. So I end up from not really liking it to liking it. I don't have any books that I really hated and then end up loving. I have loads of books that I started hating and ended up really hating. Vick! A book that challenged you, but you ended up enjoying. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I struggled with Virginia. I struggled with modernism as a whole genre, time period of books. But I first read To the Lighthouse, and it was alright. And then I read Mrs. Dalloway, and it takes time for me to read it in English. Yeah. It's really good. It didn't challenge me intellectually, per se. It did as well. But it was more, it challenged me language-wise. It's just a really good book. Henry Spencer! I guess that's the other Spencer's dad. Your favourite parent-child relationship? I'm very tempted to say Molly Weasley and all her kids, especially Charlie. We don't see that much of it in books, so it's not that as obvious, but I feel like every time they talk about his hair and how he should cut his hair and become more proper. But my ultimate favourite parent-kid relationship is Jolene, John and Irene from the Forsyte Saga. Jolene, I don't know, you said Joylin? Jolene and Irene are the parents of John, who falls in love with Fleur, who's the daughter of Irene's former husband. And this is the second part of the Forsyte Saga. I think this is a really, really good book. I might have talked about it before, I don't know. The way Jolene and John communicate to each other, because it's so clear that Julian loves his son so much, but he's terrified of him making the wrong choice and then breaking his mother's heart, as in Irene. American duos. Yo. My favourite book that's based on a previous work of literature or pop culture. Here I have two. I have Into the Light, which is written by James Masters. It's Psych from Buffy, and this is his own little comic book. And this book has been talked about at cons for ages before it came out, because it was an idea that James had for quite some time, I think. And it's based on Spike from Buffy. And the second series, you can say, that I like, based on literature or pop culture, is William Shakespeare's Star Wars. It's written by Ian Dozier. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. And this is Verily A New Hope. And it has some of the best dialogue that I've ever seen in here. R2-D2. Beep squeep, meep, whistle hoo. Luke. Ah! Han. Oh! Leia. Ah! Chewbacca. Oh! I can't do that sound. It's all written in iambic pentameter, and I think it's a masterpiece. And the last question is, I heard it both ways. A book that you hold an unpopular opinion about. There's a couple of books that I don't like at all, which disappointed me because I read them and I thought, oh, I'm so excited about this and I'm gonna love it. And the first is the Hunger Games trilogy. Now the first book is fine. The second book didn't do anything for me. I forgot that I'd finished it. I came home and I intended to finish it for Christmas and I was like, oh, I finished it. How splendid. I haven't even bothered reading the third one. I can't even remember the names, and I feel bad for saying this and for meaning this. It's just, it's probably alright, it's just not what I expected. The other book that I absolutely loathe, Wuthering fucking Heights. Now, I want to bitch slap every character in this book, and not because, oh, you get emotions from a character, then it's good because they're written properly. No, no, they are stupid and I don't like it. And you can say that I can't stand that book. It makes me so angry just looking at it. That's one of the few books that I actually thrown into a wall and just left it there on the floor to be trampled upon, and I don't like it. Now, this was a fun thing to do. You have to let me know. Did you agree? Disagree? I don't know. I agree with myself. Sometimes. I'm going to tag some people down below. So maybe I'll tag you. If you haven't been tagged and you really want to do it, do it. It's fun. And I'll link the original video down below, which is Little Word Weaver. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Aloha. That was Sprinkle of Glitters. I mean, cheerio. You're set for bye.